Today, I'm gonna build 3 Lego pyramids using different methods to test which ones the Egyptians most likely used. The pyramids have been around for thousands of years, and no one has been able to figure out an answer as to how they were actually built, which means it's up to us to give it our best guess, and then we can make our own conclusions. For this first pyramid, we're gonna start with a bunch of tan bricks. Hopefully this should be enough. For pyramid number 1, we're gonna test it using the primitive method of ramps and pulleys. Since all of these pyramids are gonna be different sizes, we need to come up with a block size for each one. So for this one, if we put together 6 of these 2x4s like this, that gives us a pretty good stackable block size. The theory is back in the old times they had a granite quarry miles and miles away, and they would have to trek all of these giant 2-ton blocks over to the build site. So we need to build a bunch more of these blocks. For this first pyramid, we're gonna make it this big, and they're gonna be getting bigger and bigger as we go. Now the first layer, as you might expect, was pretty easy. All they had to do was just move the bricks into place and snap them down. And one of the ways they could have done that was using logs. By simply pulling it up on top of the logs, they could have brought the bricks all the way over from the quarry and then place it just like that. So let's assume they did that all the way around. This is so tedious. They actually took something like 27 years to make the pyramid, so I feel a little bit better. And now we have the first level. I also added a door right here, and we'll build up a little temple inside this. The next thing they had to do was build up another layer, and that's where I think they could use ramps and pulleys. Now everyone obviously knows what a ramp is, but the benefit of using pulleys is you can actually use mechanical advantage to your advantage and not have to pull as much. Here we have a piece of actual granite, just like the stuff they used to build the pyramids. And here we have our first pulley, which is just a free turning wheel that just allows us to move rope around it really easy. If we seal that up like that, you can see now, if we say this rock weighs 1 pound, we're basically just redirecting that weight. But there's no mechanical advantage to just using one. So in order to make the rock lighter, we add a few more pulleys. Now you can see if we utilize just 2 pulleys, like this, it's actually significantly lighter to pull it up. It actually weighs ½ a pound now. And if we add another pulley, that'll make it even easier. So now it weighs 1/3 of a pound. But you may notice, in order to get the rock to move up like 6 inches, look how far I have to pull on the rope. Basically what's happening here is we're trading weight for distance. So even though this rock now theoretically weighs 1/4 pound, we have to pull the rope 4 times as far. And that's where you get your mechanical advantage from using pulleys. I had no idea how to use pulleys like 10 minutes ago. And now it makes sense. Now we can build up a simple pulley system using a couple tires. Aha! Here we have our pulley system. And just to prove that this guy actually works, we're gonna take our actual piece of granite and pull that. Okay, that's actually really impressive, but really simplistic. Just a few wheels on the inside of there, and this thing goes right up the hill. Easy work from now on. Now that we got our first pulley, we can lay down the second layer of blocks. At a certain height, I feel like it's pretty logical to assume that there were some sort of safety precautions taken, because one frayed rope or anything like that would send bricks falling all the way down the side. A nice primitive fix for that would be something like a ratchet, or even some gates on our slope that would stop the bricks from going down. We just need something that'll basically close on it, something like this thing. We put that right next to this guy here. You still rotate it that way, but it won't rotate back the other way. Then we just take our rubber band, and that thing is supposed to hold this down so that it doesn't move. Boom, there we have our ratchet. So instead of pulling, they can just twist this thing and bring it up 1 notch at a time, which is really, really satisfying, by the way. Close our gates here. Safety, guys. Check it out. We get a brick up here, we move it around. This method's working out so far, I'll say that. And then to release it, all you do is you just pull the ratchet and boom. Now we got some safety precautions, just a few more layers to go, and this thing will be done. And with one last piece that I'm not quite sure how they got up there, we finished our first pyramid. As you can see, I've created it with a nice top that you can just take off. And then I've designed this beautiful interior to make it look like some sort of Egyptian temple. But you can see here we got a little pharaoh, we got some nice golden pillars with accents. And then I kind of just threw in some irrigation in there with some water and plants. So I'm gonna rate these based on practicality and ease for a combined efficiency score. So practicality, I'd give this like a 9. These pulleys really did work, and I could see that being something they would have possibly used back then. I'd give ease like a 6 out of 10. Now, we must destroy it so we can build our next one. All right, I'm satisfied. Let's build the next one. For this next pyramid, we're gonna build it using water, because that's one of the theories as to how they were actually constructed, is using canals to float the bricks across to the pyramid site and then bring them up so they could actually build it. For the bricks for this pyramid, I'm gonna make them a little bit bigger. So we're gonna stack 3 brick layers and make it 8 studs long, like that. And we just need to make like 450 of these. There were like 2.5 million blocks that they actually excavated for one of these pyramids. I just put together 180 and I'm tired. So for this one, we're gonna need to build a moat around the sides to hold water, because that's actually how the stones are going to get to the pyramid site. So let me build that up real quick. To make this waterproof, I think what I'm gonna do is use some saran wrap, and instead of locking it between bricks or anything, I'm just gonna use one piece to go hopefully all the way around and keep it waterproof. Guys, you know when you put a tarp in a truck bed and you fill with water and then you have a pool? That's what I'm trying to do, but in order to make a loop, we have to overlap somewhere, and that won't hold water. In order to get this to actually hold water, we're gonna split it up into 4 different quadrants. And that will make it so the saran wrap we're gonna put on top to waterproof it won't have to overlap anywhere, but for the sake of the build, let's pretend that they had one all the way around. The weight of the water should also hopefully form fit this to the bricks that we already laid down. Please work. Ah, we can float. Now we just gotta add a few more, and then we can finally float our bricks. The last thing I gotta do on the moat is just build up a few layers of bricks and then cover it in a layer of plates so we can finish off our foundation. Now to actually make it so we can get the bricks to the top of the pyramid, my first idea was to build a water elevator with a little gated canal down below so we could hold the water in the tower. However, Legos still refuse to be waterproof, even with glue and silicone. And this is not for lack of trying, you guys. I spent like 3 hours building and gluing a gated canal only to find out that the gates don't hold water. So the new plan, just for the sake of demonstration, we'll use some movie magic to get these bricks to move. So the way this would work, this would connect to the moat on the outside, so you could bring your blocks into the pyramid. And then we'd have 2 gates on either side of the brick, which we can build up using a few simple pieces. And these would probably be made out of wood or something heavy. If we just add all these glass pieces on the sides here, we can stack up a few of these 1x1 round bricks and then make a little channel for our gates to slide in and out. To actually lift these gates, we're gonna use some sort of winch mechanism, kind of like we did with the pulleys before. There we go. I'm just gonna clean this up a little and then I'll start adding the tower on one side. So since I can't test this in the pyramid because of how leaky it would be, I'm gonna demonstrate how it works underwater. We have our tower that's filled with water up to here, and then just imagine that down here, this little area, that would be where it flows in from the canal and from the moat. So the block coming in through the canal, through the moat, would go into the pyramid, and we have 2 gates to keep the pressure inside of the elevator, because all that water, if we have both gates open, it's just gonna flow out and flood the entire moat. So if we open the first gated canal, like so, they can now push the block through, or maybe it'd be at like a slight angle, so it would just float its way through, like that. And then they'd close this first gate and open the second gate, like this. And in our case, you're just gonna float to the top. And now that area is pressurized with the same water that's in here because it can't make it through that first gate. So then the block that has some sort of flotation device, you gotta remember, because it's floating, that would move through like this and float up to the top of our pyramid where we can actually place it on the top. And then with each layer of blocks that actually gets built on the pyramid, they would just add another layer to their elevator, fill it up with more water, and that would just keep going up and up. It's not a perfect system in Lego, I'll admit, but it really could have been one of the methods that they used in actually building the pyramids. So for the first few layers of bricks, it's pretty simple. They routed them in the canal and then floated them over. Then they could have used logs or pulleys to actually stack them onto the pyramid. So I'm gonna do that for the first couple layers before we actually utilize this thing. And then maybe to actually get these out of the water, they could have used levers. Now that we got this built up high enough, we can be done with this guy. And here now we're at the level where we can start utilizing the elevator. We can't use water, so the way we're gonna do this is actually pretty cool. We take our brick, and that goes down the river, and then that will go right over into the first bath. And then I'm gonna attach this really cool Lego magnet piece, which is just a 4x4 block, to the top of our block. So then that can go through the first gate, close down, and then through the second gate, like that. And then we'll take our other fancy Lego magnet like this, and all we gotta do is make it rise with the water. Just pretend the magnet didn't exist and the water did that. Only like 150 more to go, but we're getting close. So we're on the next level. Honestly, this is harder than the pulleys, which is kind of surprising because that was hard. We're in the final stretch for this pyramid. I'm just gonna add the last few layers. Somewhere along construction, our pharaoh actually fell down the elevator shaft and died. Which is great because now we can turn this into a tomb. So we can rip out our elevator because it has served its purpose. Now the last thing you gotta do is just build up a tomb inside there and this thing will be done. So here we have pyramid number 2, which is quite a bit bigger than the first one, as you can see. And this one actually opens up. You can see into the tomb on the inside. There's a sarcophagus in there where the pharaoh should be. I also added some gold and clay jars and stuff that would hold like the body parts, as well as the pharaoh's treasures and stuff like that. For ease, I'd give this one like a 3 out of 10. It wasn't super easy. In practicality, maybe a 4. I don't know. I just don't believe that they had like a giant water elevator and they were able to keep that sealed. I will say the water, that was actually pretty fun. But with this one done, it is time to destroy it and build the third one. Lego boulder versus pyramid in 3, 2. That wasn't too bad. On to the next one. Finally, we're on to our third and biggest pyramid. And our third method, aliens. Some people believe that the pyramids were just too crazy of a feat and too complicated for Egyptians to actually build in the time that they had. So the theory is that they had help from aliens using alien technology, and that is how they moved the giant 2 to 5 ton stones. So for this one, we're gonna be able to build machines using Lego electronics to actually build the pyramid. I think we're gonna have to build this one on a bigger table. This one is gonna be huge. I'm just gonna start with a few layers on the base and then we'll build the first machine. You might notice what I'm doing is putting a layer of red on the inside so that it's 2 layers of bricks thick and it will be stronger. Because if we just build it up using tan, once we get higher and higher, it'll be really hard to keep this from not breaking apart like that. Whereas this is significantly sturdier. I'm just gonna build this thing up a few more layers, and then I'm gonna build a conveyor belt that'll actually take the bricks from the drop site up onto the pyramid so we can get it higher and higher. The first machine we're gonna build is a conveyor belt, so I'm gonna connect together a couple Technic bricks end to end, and then we'll add some little wheels and treads to it. And to make the conveyor belt that goes all the way around, we're gonna snap together a bunch of these little tread pieces. And in order to attach it to this, we're gonna need some of these fancy treads. Now, if we rotate one of these, we have a conveyor belt. I'm gonna add some of these Technic pins so that it actually has something to grab. We need to put a motor on this part. So if we connect our motor to our battery box like this, we can then put it on here and hopefully, please work. Hey! It's not very torque resistant. We might need a bigger motor, but that's the idea. And then, we just need to add a little guardrail on both sides so they stop falling off. Does it work? It works. And then we can take our bricks all the way to the thing, see? This is so cool. Alien technology. Crazy, am I right? Now that we got a way to actually move these up the pyramid and we can adjust it depending on the height of the pyramid, let's keep building up these layers. Look at how big this is. Guys, like this video if you think I placed a lot of bricks for this project. And if you think about it, subscribe because it really helps out the channel. I'm gonna build this up some more until I can flatten it off, and then I'm gonna build one more machine to finish off the top of this. The next machine I'm gonna build is a crane, a motorized one. And for that, we're gonna use this piece to make it rotate. If we connect it to this guy, with a few of these little pins, and now we can attach it to these Technic bricks. Now we have a rotating base. For the actual crane arm itself, I'm only gonna motorize the part that goes up and down, so we basically need to build an arm. Now, we should be able to connect these guys. And since that's a little small for a crane, we're gonna make it extendable. These pieces are super good for cranes because they'll actually let you extend the crane arm using this little sliding mechanism. Nice, and there we have our crane arm, which is extendable. Now we need a piece of rope to make it actually work. To actually run the rope up the top of this, I'm gonna take a bunch of these little pieces, put in these little blue pins so we can now snap those into there. And we can add a few more of those up the top of this. Now we can attach our arm to the base using a few more pins, attach our motor to the actual rotating arm. Now we can take our high-tech invisible string, thread it through these white things. Last thing we need is just a way to wind the string here. And for that, we're just gonna build a little pulley. Now we got this guy. Swivel this guy around, bring down our little winch here. We can grab up a brick, pull it up, bring it around. And then the cool thing is we can extend this guy and then bring this down right into place like that. Look at that, guys. So I'm gonna use our crane in combination with this guy. We just need to build up a few layers until all 4 corners on the top finally touch together. Finally, after hours of hard work, we have completed the third pyramid with the third method. This is actually split into 3 different sections, as you can see by the little groove going across. So you can actually take off the top part to reveal absolutely nothing. What? But you can take off the second part to reveal the inside. We got an entrance to the main hall here, which is like a huge area. I kind of built some pillars and some more little water pools, and I added a tiny pyramid on the inside, so it's like pyramid inception. But it was a lot of fun actually using motors and stuff to build machines, so we'd get this one up. I'd give this pyramid like 9 out of 10 ease, and then for practicality, probably like 5 out of 10. Aliens, I don't know about that. If this video gets 50,000 likes, I will destroy this in another video. Huge thank you for watching, you guys. Don't forget to check out this video's sponsor, Krazy Bricklink store, for your Lego brick needs. You can check them out by clicking the link down in the description or this button right here on the screen. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.